Welcome to Spoonful of Strength, a podcast for people with chronic illness and the ones who love them, where we talk all things chronic. Here's your host, Rachel and Tina. Welcome to Spoonful of Strength. We're excited to have another Spoonie on to join us today. We have Julie, and Julie's going to talk to us about her experience with scoliosis at a young age and more recently with Chiari Malformation. She's going to talk about her surgery that was to slow down the progression of Chiari, and she's going to talk about her love of hiking as well. How's your day been going here, Tina?
Oh my gosh, it is so hot. And it's, I keep laughing when I keep complaining about the heat, like the crazy heat wave. It's just been, I had to run out and do an errand this morning, and it was like not even noon yet, and my car was reading 104.
Oh my gosh.
And so I did my grocery shop, got the groceries I needed, and came back home, and then I've been sitting here in the air conditioning. And it was funny because I had a cold drink in my car in my insulated cup. So I was like, okay, it'll be nice and cold when I'm out of the grocery store. But I didn't even think that normally I use plastic straws, but this particular cup has a metal straw in it. So that was not such a good idea to leave in my car while I was shopping.
Did you burn your lips?
I burn it a little bit, not terribly bad, but I was like, oh, that was not a smart move when I made my
gosh.
But how has your day been? You had a busy day because I know you're coming up on your surgery.
My surgery is tomorrow. By the time this airs, hopefully I'll be doing much better. So yeah, I'm running around with the chicken with my head cut off. But today is actually my wedding anniversary. My husband and I celebrating 24 years together. And so I have to tell you a funny story though. So Saturday, I know I talked to you on Saturday, but we went out for lunch for our anniversary. And this is a typical Rachel story that I seem like every week I've got. But we decided that we were going to pick up some donuts after our lunch for the next morning. And so I get on my app and I get on my Dunkin' app and I place the order. And we pull up and we say, we have a mobile order and they can't find it. And she said, what's the address of where you place the order? And I pull up my app and I go, oh, not this one. And it's actually where we were at when I placed the order. And we're not going to be in that location. And so we like $15 worth of donuts. And my poor husband, I don't know how he doesn't get frustrated with me. And he's like, well, let's just go in and we'll place another order and then you can get on the app and try and get your money back. And he goes, either you get your money back or this is the most expensive donuts we've ever bought, having to buy them twice. And
right.
So we come out of the donut place and he sticks the donuts in the back seat. They're tilted and stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to mention anything. They'll be fine. Everything will be fine. And we're driving down the road and somebody pulls out in front of us and he slams on his brakes.
Oh, no.
We almost get hit. And my first reaction is the donuts. I said, I'm sorry, honey. I love you so much. But the first thing in my head is he put those in the back seat and they were tilted. Save the donuts. Save the donuts. And and so I grabbed the donuts and they were fine and everything. Oh. and I was like, oh my gosh, these donuts are just, it was just, gosh, it was just funny. But I did get my money back on the first order. So we're all good. But
that's good.
Those are things I think I said to him. I said, I don't know how, I'm sorry. And he's like, I understand, I know this is, but gosh, I think if the roles were reversed, I'd be in my head be going, gosh, so frustrating. You keep doing this stuff. Yeah. I even double checked the address with him, but for some reason, in between me double checking the address with him and actually doing it, I still messed it up. So, he's gotten used to it, and God love him. He's a good man for not just smacking me in the back of the head, sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, it was funny, but so yeah, our anniversary's today, but we celebrated over the weekend, and he's taken a couple days off to help me with my surgery tomorrow. And so yes, I've got a lot of stuff just trying to get bedding washed and like, things that I won't be able to do for a while. And
Something about having a medical procedure or that puts you in this nesting mode. I noticed.
it
It's like,
is. Yeah.
it's like
I'm
if
like, I
I'm gonna
want my
be
house.
laying around the house looking at it, I want it clean.
Yeah. I'm like, I've got a whole list of things that I have to do, whether it be for the podcast or just in the house. And I'm like I had on my list, clean front porch. Like that was on my list. Like
Rachel,
clean the
that
front
sounds like a
porch.
man thing. That definitely sounds like
It
a
sounds
man
like
thing. Because I
I,
always
I,
joke around about we'll have a party at the house, and I'm sitting there trying to clean the main, the bathroom, the kitchen, the dining room where everybody's gathering, the living room, like all the spaces everybody's going to be hanging. And Dave will be out there like power washing the deck in December when nobody's going to be out there.
yeah, like I just had this thinking of somebody might, and I found out today that I may have somebody bringing me by food, but for some reason that was bothering me. I got
The
so many other
food.
things to deal with, but the front porch had to be swept.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, some days I think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Like there are some days where I just think I am just losing my mind. But yeah,
Sometimes I notice the things like when I find like silly little what some people would probably think of like silly little things of going, okay, how important is it really if you don't get a
yeah.
chance to sweep the front porch? For me, I think it's like I start finding these little things because I'm avoiding doing something that I really don't want to do. Like I'll be out there
And
like weeding in 100-degree weather because I don't want to clean my kitchen or whatever.
yeah. And it may be just me avoiding, sitting today and
Thinking,
my anxiety because I'm
yeah.
not not a routine surgery, but I mean it's not like heart surgery or anything like that. It's on my shoulder. I'll find out tomorrow. It could be a 2-week immobilizer, it could be a 6-week immobilizer, but overall it's not a complicated surgery. But I have some worries about my breathing issues. They've moved my surgery to 2 locations. Um, because of concern for my breathing. So then it makes me concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned, I think, with my MS mobility,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been told that will take a hit
Yeah.
from surgery, and so it's not the surgery that I'm necessarily worried about. It's
They'll
will
recover.
I be the same
Right.
person coming out of surgery
Right.
in regards to mobility that I was coming in, and I'm already coming in at a place where I've been struggling, and so it's mentally just, should I be doing the surgery? Am I risking my MS? I mean, there's so many other questions, but yeah, probably my long list of things to do is probably just avoiding, you know, sitting and just waiting for tomorrow to come.
Right, right. Which that makes sense too, because then it gives you less chance to sit and think and worry. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But it will all be fine. And by the time
yep.
this airs, I will probably be doing no, I won't be doing cartwheels. I haven't done a cartwheel in 20 years. So um that won't happen. But
Yeah. I mean, you did used to do the show choir thing, right? So
I was
maybe at
in
least
the
some doing
show
band,
choir.
do some dancing or something.
I can dance so good in my head.
Mhm.
Like really, I could.
Yeah.
bust a move in my
Yeah.
head,
In your head.
but actually putting it into my body actually moving, I'm afraid I would hurt something. I would
Yeah.
tear something, I would
Yeah.
break something. So that's not going to happen. But in my head, I'm still that
Yeah. You're sure, so
15,
you're still that
16 year
show,
old.
yeah, show choir girl.
I still got the jazz hands and the and everything. So we're all good. But
Did you know Spoonful of Strength is not just a podcast? We have an Instagram page called Spoonful of Strength where you can see clips of our upcoming episodes, learn about different illnesses, and we share other people's stories. We also have an Etsy shop where you can shop for clothing such as t-shirts and sweatshirts and hoodies. You can find candles and mugs and tumblers and blankets. You can find it all. We support all chronic illnesses, and the great thing is, if you find a t-shirt in our shop for multiple sclerosis, we can change that for lupus or Ehlers-Danlos or any other illness that you need. Everything is customizable in our shop. Use the code podcast for 20% off your entire order.
you ready to bring Julie in? And
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Julie, thanks for joining us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hey, my name is Julie Jandeska. I am 27 years old. I was diagnosed with scoliosis at the age of like 14, like 13, 14 in that area. And I was also diagnosed with Chiari Malformation, but later in life when I was like 22, 23 in that age range. And yeah, I also have the syringomyelia. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly or not, but it's the fluid filled cyst in your spine. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that first diagnosis with your scoliosis? You were fairly young, so what were your thoughts? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I always had like chronic pain, and we ended up going to the doctor, and we took some like x-rays of my spine, and I always like had an unsteady gait. Like my right leg is probably a good like half an inch longer than my left leg, and I didn't know that at the time because of scoliosis, but yeah, so we went to the doctor, and they told me I had scoliosis, and my doctor either told me I could have a rod put in my spine in order to like straighten my spine, or I can go work on my core muscles. And if I was 14, like I'm not gonna want to get surgery and put a rod in my spine. So we decided to do the more like core work aspect of it for treatment. And I started horseback riding, and within a year, like my trainer had me ride bareback a lot, and it takes a lot of core muscles to stay on a horse. So, I mean, the more support your core has, the more support your spine has. So it just kind of all in one, like helps each other out. And we went with that route. And I mean, I still have the scoliosis. It's never going to go fully away, but I don't have to have the rod put in my spine.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
What was your scoliosis like curve degree, I guess? How bad was your scoliosis?
Honestly, I don't remember. That was like such a long time ago. I'd have to go like look through charts and stuff, but it was enough to where like it wasn't just like one curve, it was like a big S. So like it wasn't just one curve, it was both sides. So it was enough to them or for the doctor to be like, hey, you either need to put the rod in your spine or like do something about it now.
Mm-hmm. That must have been scary as a 14-year-old. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I didn't think about it too much, like I was young, like you think you know everything at that age. And yeah, I definitely didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, Rachel, I don't know if they did it when you were in school. I remember back when we were in school, part of gym class, like in elementary school, was they always screened us for scoliosis. And I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, they used to line us up, and we'd have to be in the gym locker room, and we would have to take our shirts off, and we'd huddle our shirts in and then just bend over, and they would just go one by one and look at everybody's backs. It was, did they do that when you were a child? We're so old. I mean, excuse us, but
I don't think they did that
Yeah.
I don't think they've done that. I mean, when I went to the doctors, they would like do that, but like not like in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so weird. I mean, you're talking what the 80s when we were
Yeah.
in
Yeah. I mean, I remember,
school.
yeah, back when they even used to do the hearing test, they'd give you hearing tests and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
they don't do the screening as much anymore. So in addition to the scoliosis, you mentioned Chiari. When did you first notice symptoms that weren't related to your scoliosis?
So scoliosis is a comorbid diagnosis with Chiari typically. I've always had chronic pain. Like it started with the diagnosis of scoliosis because that was the route that we went, and that was like the beginning of the journey. So like I have chronic hip pain, and it's because of the uneven gait. My pelvis is tilted, so it's not level, it's tilted, and it causes a like acute angle on the hip. So that's why that there's hip pain, and I honestly deal with chronic hip pain every day, and I mean, I hate to say this, but I quit going to doctors because they were just like, you're fine, like just take pain meds. And I was like, cool, I'll just not take pain meds and continue doing what I want to do anyway. Right. But some like the other symptoms that I had were like, I used to run, and like I would get back from my run, and like the right half of my body, just the right half of my body would be ice cold. And the left half of my body would be like normal, like sweaty after a run. And I was like, this isn't normal. So like after a run a couple of times, I was like, this is weird, but like feel both sides of my torso. I was talking to like my family members. They're like, yeah, that's not normal. And then ended up going to the doctor and then got diagnosed with Chiari, but that was like probably 10 years later.
Oh.
So what tests or procedures did they do to actually diagnose you with the Chiari?
In the span of, I think, probably a year and a half, I think I underwent 14 plus MRIs with and without contrast for all of my spine. And it was like just to see what the levels were at, to see like what was happening in like within my different areas of my spine. And then shortly after those, I had the surgery, the decompression surgery. And then I had to go through more MRIs after that because they had to make sure everything was fine. And that was I just learned to fall asleep on MRI machines.
Yeah, they're not fun.
No.
Yeah.
So on a daily basis, what do you deal with symptom wise?
Daily basis, I'd say chronic headache, chronic hip pain because of the angle in my hip. I have very poor balance and coordination. So like sometimes like when I'm walking, my balance will just be like, nope. And I'll just kind of like stumble. And then it's like weird. Like my spatial awareness is like not super great either. I think that's kind of like the basis of it. Like I can't feel pain or temperature in the right half of my body. Like mostly my torso, but like my extremities too, like, have less feeling than like the left half of me, but I can still feel it if that makes sense. But like if you were like have like the point of a needle or like a safety pin point, and you were like to poke me on my right side, I couldn't feel it. But if you poke me on my left side, I can feel it.
Now, are there times when like do you have any sort of like triggers or activities that you do that make like your symptoms flare up, or is it just like a constant flow of pain?
I would say that temperature, not like temperature, but like humidity affects me a lot. Like I used to live in the Midwest where it's like super humid, and I definitely felt more chronic pain, like fatigue. And now I live in Colorado, and I feel like less fatigued, but I mean, chronic illnesses like are always fatiguing, you know? So I would say like I'm a pretty active person. I through hiked the Appalachian Trail. I'm currently an outdoor guide for people with disabilities. So like I'm really active, and I feel like if I wasn't as active, I wouldn't be able to do as much because if I don't like move my muscles, then I'm going to lose that like, if you don't move it, you lose it kind of thing.
Right. Where did you live in the Midwest?
So I lived in the southwest suburb of Chicago called Lennox. And I
Okay.
was there for
Okay.
like 23 years.
Yeah, I'm in Indiana.
Oh,
Tina's in Maryland, but yeah, I'm
cool.
familiar with that area.
So you mentioned that you had the decompression surgery for the Chiari.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, the decision to do it, how your recovery, how it, did it end up being successful?
So the first doctor I went to, that diagnosed me with Chiari, I was like, you're kidding. Like, this isn't even a real thing. So then I went and I got a second opinion, and that doctor told me the same thing, and I was very humbled by that. But he was like, this is your option, because with the syringomyelia, which is a fluid-filled cyst inside your spine, like I have one from C4 to T11, which is like a majority of your spine. So like all of that permanent nerve damage is like permanent, like it's not going to come back. So he was like, it could get worse. With how it is with all, like, after all the MRIs, like it could get worse. And I like didn't want that. Like they were like, you could get paralyzed if it gets into your lumbar spine. And I was like, cool, let's not do that. And then I ended up getting talked into surgery, and the doctor like explained to me like all the ins and outs of what the surgery would do and what the recovery time was, and that there's not like a guarantee that's going to help me symptom wise, but it could help it from progressing further. So then the decision was to have the surgery, and recovery wasn't great. I binge watched Grey's Anatomy because I couldn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Great show.
So yeah, and they had an episode about Chiari, and I was like, yeah, let's go.
Really?
Yeah, I forget which episode, but I don't think it was like fully about that person, but somebody in the episode had it. I was like, hey, me too. But yeah, so I did a lot of watching Grey's Anatomy and sleeping. And then I tried to like wean myself off of the pain medication pretty quickly so that I could go to the horse barn, not ride yet, because like that is not safe, but like just go hang out with the horses and like groom them and brush them. And but yeah, that recovery, like full recovery, is probably like 6 months.
Explain to the listeners like what exactly Chiari is and the syringomyelia. I said that wrong, I'm sure, but explain what that actually is.
So Chiari Malformation is a what they think could be a birth defect, but honestly, there's not enough research done to like confirm that. But Chiari Malformation is, if you think of like a cork in a wine bottle, the cork is your brain, and the wine bottle is like your skull, and you're like that area, and your brain descends out of your skull and puts pressure on your brain stem. So yeah, there's like a lot of pressure in your brainstem, and if there's not enough space for your cerebrospine fluid to like fluctuate, because that your cerebrospine fluid fluctuates from your head to your body, like it is just like an ongoing like system. And there was a blockage because of the cork in the wine bottle. So what my cerebrospine fluid did was it made its own like channel through a fluid filled cyst in my spine, but also causing permanent nerve damage on its path. So that's kind of like what Chiari is and what syringomyelia is.
Now, Chiari, is that a progressive disease, or is the purpose of surgery just to slow it down, the progression, or is it?
Yeah. Some people, like, there's a lot of different kinds of Chiari. You can live a full, like, purposeful life with Chiari and not know you have it. And then there's like people who are really symptomatic like me. So it's like, I don't know, I guess there's not an answer to that, because you can have it and be like symptom free and thriving, and you can also have it and like be bedridden. So I mean, it definitely, from the research that I've done, it is more of a progressive thing, because the surgery is not like a telltale. Like it's not like you have to have surgery and this list will like go away. It won't go away.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. How long has it been since your diagnosis?
Of Chiari or scoliosis?
Chiari.
That surgery was in like 2017.
Okay. So quite a few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So over the last 7 or 8 years, how have you dealt with like the mental aspect? You know, we always check in with the people that come on our podcast of just like mentally, how are you doing, or how has the process been for you mentally?
I would say it's definitely a very taxing process. Like, so I thru hiked the Appalachian Trail in 22, and I actually like handed out these little bracelets that say Conquer Chiari, and it says educate and fight on it on the other side. And
Oh.
like that really helped me mentally because I was educating other people that had no idea what Chiari was. So like
Mhm.
it was even like the other day, my friend like texted me and she was like, "Hey, I just thought about you because my bracelet broke and it's a great time to check in with you. And like, I just wanted to let you know that people kept asking me questions and I kept educating people on like answering the questions." And I was like, that literally meant the world to me. It made me so happy when they were like educating everybody else. So I
That's
think
great.
that really helps me. And like having a support system, is really, I think, key.
That's
And
great.
staying active, to be honest, because like if I wasn't like outside doing what I love to do, then I would probably go crazy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love to hike, so I understand the importance of not of having that connection, but also the I don't know what the benefit of being out there. So I'm curious, did couple questions. One, how long did it take you to through hike the AT?
I took 6 months. So I started March 5th and then
Uh-huh.
I ended September 2nd.
Did you go north to south or south to north?
North, or yeah, I went Nobo. So I went from Georgia to Maine.
No, both. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So did you have to adjust? Do you feel like you've adjusted how you were hiking in general, not just necessarily for the AT, as trying to still continue to hike while dealing with Chiari?
I would say not like a ton. I would consider myself a pretty like fast hiker. I would just have to like do a lot of stretching because otherwise I feel like my joints would get like super locked up. And I would do yoga every morning before I started hiking, and I would do yoga before every time I went to bed, just so
Mhm.
that I could be like ready for the night and ready for the morning.
Okay. So it just sounds like just typical, something that people who are not struggling with an illness like that should be doing as well if they're out there doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me a little bit about the work that you do. You said that you are an outdoor guide for people with disabilities. What specifically like do you do at your work?
So I work for a company called the Adaptive Sports Center in Crested Butte, and basically groups, individuals, or community members can like come to us and like I don't know. We've had groups of veterans, we've had groups of youth at risk, we've had groups of a hospital with people who have cerebral palsy. Like we have so many different group people, and then we have like individuals like in the community that will come with to us and be like, hey, I have this disability, like what can I do? Um, so we take them either um, flat water, going down the river, rock climbing, sports like that, like a bunch of different, like mountain biking, road biking, basically like whatever sport they want to do. We try to get them to the best ability to do it with as much or as small adaptations as possible, like
Mhm.
whatever they need.
It sounds like a wonderful job to be able to help people and do that. How long have you worked there?
This is actually my first summer, and I absolutely love it. Like I love to like. I remember like I was out on a river day or like a lake, a flat water day, and I was with this girl who has CP, and we were just talking about our chronic illnesses, and we're all like, yeah, we're just chronic illness badasses. We're just queens out here doing the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just makes my heart really happy. So to be quite frank,
Yeah.
I could care less about the money. I just want to hang out and like have good experiences with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so fun. I know we've been doing this for a little bit, of meeting people with chronic illness because like we're all the same. We're all this big umbrella of dealing with chronic pain and chronic fatigue and all of that. And it's so nice to be able to talk to people, that understand and what we're going through and everything. So I can imagine that would be a very fulfilling job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
So
it's a great one.
Sounds great. We thought we'd take a brief pause in our podcast to enjoy what I call a mini mindful moment. Now, mindfulness is, if you're not familiar with the concept, that is the practice of just being present in this particular moment in time. We're not thinking about things that have happened in the past. We're not thinking of things that are coming up. We're simply in this here and now. So I encourage you to join us on a little mindful moment here as I guide you through how to quiet your mind. One of my favorite techniques of that is simply become focused on my breath. So if you settle in, close your eyes, try to quiet your mind, and simply focus on taking a nice deep breath in through your nose, feeling it all the way down from your diaphragm all the way up, and hold it. And then release that breath through the mouth. One big, long breath out. And there should be no other thoughts going through your mind. Just simply focus on breathing in. Nice deep breath in through the nose and hold it. And deep breath out through your mouth, releasing all that tension in your body. Feeling yourself connected to nothing more than your body and your mind. You hear any outside noises, just simply push them away. Only concentrate on that breath. Deep breath in, hold it, and a nice long breath out. And if you find your mind starting to wander, bring it back to focusing on nothing more than the process of those deep breath in all the way through the very bottom of your pit of your stomach, all the way up into your lungs. Nice and deep breath, and hold it. And a nice deep breath out. Simply quieting your mind and focusing only on those nice deep breaths in and a long breath out. And then take just a couple seconds, a few more breaths on your own. I won't guide you through these. If you find your mind starting to wander, just bring it right back to just focusing on the breath and nothing more. Give you a couple seconds to do a few deep breaths. And on your last exhale, nice deep exhale, and open your eyes and come back to the present moment and join us back on the remainder of our podcast. Do you have a good support system?
Yeah, I would say I have a great support system. My boyfriend's great. I love him. And my family is great too. I also love them. And I don't know, my coworkers at work, they're just like, everybody's so welcoming and just full of joy and love and laughter. And they definitely keep me going.
Makes a big difference when you've got a good support system around you. Now, has Chiari affected like your social life or your family life as far as being social, going out and doing things? Has that been a little bit more difficult?
I would say that like, I think it can be. I try to, I don't know if ignore my symptoms is the right wording, but like I try to
Yeah.
like put the symptoms on the back burner so that I can like
Mm-hmm.
go do like normal things. And I feel like I do a pretty good job at that. Like, not that I'm like trying to downplay my Chiari at all, but like sometimes I just like want to live a normal life, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I'm pretty good with balancing it because like I think it's important to have the social aspect, but like when you're in a flare up and you need space and you don't want to go out with a group of people, then I'm gonna say sorry, I can't come this time.
Right.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for others that may have just gotten, kind of new with that Chiari diagnosis?
I would say I think the best advice to give is to like you are not your disability. Like you are not defined by it. Definitely take the time to sit and process it, but don't continue to sit in that like self like brain rot because it will drive you nuts and it can really put you into like a dark place. But like sit there, let it process for like however much time you need, whether it's like a couple days, a week, like whatever. But then see what the things you can do. Like like certainly things could have changed, but what can you do? Like what's going to be your new why to like the rest of your life, you know?
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like that you found your why in your new job? Is that kind of fulfilling your heart as far as that goes?
I think it definitely is part of the why. Like I think that I am still searching. I think that your why can change. And there's also like more than one. And I think that definitely fulfills like a huge part of my heart. And I'm never going to want to stop growing and learning. So I think that as of right now, yeah, definitely has been like my why.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else besides just your job?
I think it's definitely like living not only like for myself, but like my support system too, because like they care so much about me and that like just means the world to me. And that makes me like want to like continue fighting and continue like figuring out my different whys. Like there's so much more to life than what people think it is. And just because you're diagnosed with this like term, this word, like it doesn't mean that's who you are.
What piece of advice do you give someone dealing with any kind of chronic illness as far as the benefit of getting out there and making that nature connection as part of a healing?
I would say that literally any connection with nature you can get, whether you're driving to like a trailhead to where you either walk up or wheel to like this trailhead, or you like go into some wildflowers that you see that you've never seen before. Like really just sit in the moment, like put your phone away. You can even pull a journal out and just like write down your thoughts. And like, you don't even have to write down your thoughts. If you want to be like, oh, this is a really pretty X wildflower, you know, like whatever wildflower it is, just like what's on your mind, just like write it. And that could turn into like another reason why, you know, like you never know what could happen with that like specific piece of paper, that specific thought, but you're never going to remember if you don't write it down.
Yep. Great. That's fantastic advice. Thank you so much for joining us. Very inspirational to, I don't know if I've always wanted to do, I section hike part of the AT. So I'm impressed with anybody that does that because, being in Maryland, I have access to pretty quick access to a good portion of it. But I'm not sure I would have it in me to do the whole thing, the whole through hike on that one. So it's just,
Hey, you can always section hike the whole thing, piece it together.
yeah, piece it all together. I mean, I did, like, I was just thrilled last year. I did Mount Fuji. I summited Mount Fuji, but
That's awesome.
but even that was hard. So I can't imagine 6 months worth of hiking.
It's
So
definitely worth the try, worth the shot.
yeah,
Super awesome.
yeah. You only live once. So if it's a dream, you go out and do it. So I love. I'm a little jealous about your new position out there, because it just sounds like a dream job for me too. It just sounds incredible, and it sounds like you're doing some great things with, you're turning around a lot of positive and putting out a lot of positive energy for those that are also struggling with Chiari or scoliosis, and thank you so much for joining us and talking about your journey.
Of course.
What's the best place that they can find you and follow your story?
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is my trail name from the Appalachian Trail. So it's Slooper, SLOOPER.AT.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on here. We really enjoyed
Thank you,
talking
guys.
with you, and we wish you luck on your Chiari journey, and keep us informed of how you're doing.
Definitely will do. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
I wish we had more time to chat with Julie, because I would love to hear. She's somebody that I would just love to hear her experience of hiking, doing that whole through hike of the Appalachian Trail. That's just quite an accomplishment, even for a healthy person to do.
I knew once she started talking about hiking, I thought, uh-oh, Tina's eyes are going to go nuts.
We're
She's
gonna have to
got
keep Tina
the wheels
under control.
spinning. Yep. She's got the wheels a turning. But
Yeah.
no, it sounds like she's doing well with her job, and I really was excited to hear about working with other people with disabilities at her job, and that's kind of fulfilling, her heart for the moment.
Yeah. And that's an important part of the journey, the chronic illness journey, is finding that fulfillment out of it all.
Yeah. And I think she even said, it's my why right now, but it may change. And to know that, things happen, and what fulfills you today, you may find something down the road that fulfills you even more, and it's a constant change, which I think we've talked about.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something that I actually needed to hear as well, is because you do, as you go through that, figuring out the why, and then it's easy to start questioning that. If you feel like the why is changing, oh, well, I thought I figured out my why, but I guess that's not what it is. But like, she hit the nail on the head when she said it's your why. It may be just your why for now. So it doesn't mean that it was the wrong why, that you were thinking, that what you thought was your why was incorrect. That was what your why was at that moment. And now it's time for another why.
We've talked with people in the past about Chiari, and it sounds like she's really has a positive attitude about her illness, and just a positivity that it's not going to keep her from living her life. And that's when you're able to do that, that's just amazing.
No, as always, another great guest that we had.
We just keep getting good ones.
I know. I love that there's so many warriors out there that are inspired to share their stories with us, and that it's important to them to share in order to encourage other people. It's just such an amazing support system out there with people. So on Tuesday, join us. We have a special guest speaker joining us from Rare Patient Voice. And Rare Patient Voice connects patients and caregivers with the opportunity to voice their opinions through surveys and interviews in order to improve medical products and services. So I am very intrigued to hear more about what they do and their mission and what they offer.
Yep, I've actually just signed up for it. I wanted to have a little bit of time to get in there and see what things they offer. And so I'll be anxious to talk about Rare Patient Voice with Pam, and it'll be a good talk.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and we will see you all on Tuesday.